This is Gemara Bab Metziah Daf Chaf, and we're holding in the bottom of Yotes Amid Beis. We are 5 lines from the bottom as the Gemara quotes the end of the Mishnah, which taught us Tanu Rabbanan Matzah Shofar. Again, we're not really quoting the end of the Mishnah. I apologize. We're quoting a brisa which deals with a shofar, which is the topic of the end of the Mishnah. So Tana Rabbanan Matzah Shofar. Someone finds a shofar. If someone finds a receipt, a shofar is that which says that one paid up something. Here we're talking in particular a shofar that says that a woman received payment of her ksuba. If the woman admits that indeed she received payment of her ksuba, she returns it. We return the document to the husband. We don't return it to anyone. Bizman Shaisha Maida, says the Gemara Mios. What do we see? Yachzer Labal, we do indeed return it to the husband. Ask Gemara the same kasha that we've been dealing with for the past few daf. Alechosh Del Makasa Lite Benisa. I'm like, no, it's not Tishrei. Why are we not concerned that in reality it didn't happen at the date of the shtar? Maybe it didn't happen until a later date. And therefore, what's the problem? And what's going to happen? Maybe between Nisan and Tishrei, as we always give the example, Pesach and Rosh Hashanah, she went and she sold her ksuba for Teves Hana for a small amount, and then she's now collecting it as well. And now, she's going to pull out the receipt which says what? Tekasav bin Nisan. The receipt says that in Nisan, that she already collected, that the husband paid her already from Nisan. And the husband is going to be able to collect from this lakuach shleikidin. Again, the woman between Pesach and Rosh Hashanah sold part of her ksuba for $100. She then collected her same ksuba at that time period. But in the date of the shofar that she was paid, it was dated early back to Nisan. So says the Gemara, very good, she admits she got it, but how can we return it to the husband? The husband's going to now go and collect from this lakuach, from this purchaser, shalaikidin. Amai Rava, says Rava, you know we're referring to over here. As we turn over to Chaf Amid Aleph. Amai Rava, Shema Mina. What do we see from here? Isa Lidishmuel. Says Rava, this all can make sense if we're going in the opinion of Shmuel. As we turn over to Chaf Amid Aleph. What does Shmuel hold? Damar Shmuel, on the top line, Shmuel teaches us, someone sells a shtar chayv to his friend. Reuven owes Shimon $100, so Shimon has a shtar to collect that $100 from Reuven, and he sells the right of collecting to someone else. And then he says, yeah, you know what, Reuven, you don't have to pay me back. He's allowed to do it. So according to Shmuel, they're allowed to be moichel the shtar. So too in the woman's case, we're going to listen to her and return it to the husband. Look at Rashi. Shema Mina on the top line. Rashi points out for the fact that Rava says that you're not chayish, and we return it to the husband. Nami hu achishaber zachi bal v'shev shnichtlav l'shema. Must be we going with Shmuel. Damar amaycher shtarchayv l'chaveira v'chazer amaycher hazeh umachloi machalu eitzel alei v'hilkach. Says Rashi. What's the ksuba? A ksuba, for all intents and purposes, is a document of debt. And now she's going. She's saying that it belongs to the husband. And the husband is able to collect. So according to Shmuel, this is very good. Says the Gemara, Abaye Amar. Says Abaye, I have a different way of explaining this case in the Braisa. Afilu te malasa de Shmuel. I'll tell you, we're not going with Shmuel. So why are we going to return the ksuba to the husband, the shaver, I should say, to the husband, maybe he's going to collect shloikedin. B'sheshtar ksuba yoytze mitachas yada. We're talking about a case in which she still has the ksuba. So if she has the ksuba, then there's no concern that maybe she sold it because she's holding the document. The Rava Amar and says, Rava, imishom shtar ksuba. Chayshina l'shtei ksuba. He says, Rava, there's still a concern. Maybe there was a second one. Number one, says Abaya, we don't have such a chash in life. And number two, shayver bizmanoi taruf. And number two, says Abaya, the shayver doesn't allow one to collect from this man in the shtar and onward, even if it's from a later date. Says Abaye, the date in the shayver is that which obligates. And Abaye letamei damer eda bechatumim zachanlai, as we've seen numerous times of the last few blot, that if you hold eda bechatumim zachanlai, that means that even if it didn't happen till a later date, but we go by the date in the shtar, because the date is when that which is obligated, and therefore, according to Abaye, there will be no problem. And with that, we move on to new Mishnah, about 10 lines down. Chav Amid Aleph, Metziah Yigaresh Shom, continuing the theme of items that are found if someone finds a letter of Shom, of evaluation, Yigaresh, or assignment. We'll see exactly what this means. Yigaresh, it's a document that says, let's look at Rashi actually. Rashi explains, Sheshmai Bezdin Nechsei Loiv Lamalva B'chayve. It says Shesamu Bezdin evaluates and gives over the property of the Loiv to the Malva for a debt. V'Yigaresh Mazain, or a letter of Mazain that one has to support his wife. Shtari Chalitza, document of Chalitza, Miunin. Mian is a din derabbanan that the woman is allowed to walk out of the marriage when married off by the father. Shtari birurin, a document that clarifies. Rashi explains Shtari birurin. The Gemara is going to tell us what it means. V'chol ma'isa bezdin, and any ma'isa bezdin, continues the Mishnah. Harei ze yachzer, you return. Matzah b'chafisa, oy b'deluskma. If these items are found in a type of container, Tachrich shel shtarais, it's a bundle of shtarais. Aguda shel shtarais. Tachrich is a roll, aguda is a bundle. Then areze yachzer. Bekama aguda shel shtarais. What is a bundle? Shleisha kshurin zebezeh, three tied to another. Rashba goimer echad aleiva mishleisha yachzer leleiva. Shleisha alavim min echad yachzer lemalve. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, if there are three documents that say that one person borrowed from three people, then who do we return it to? To the borrower. Because why are these three documents together? If these three documents are that Reuven borrowed from Shimon, Reuven borrowed from Levi, Reuven borrowed from Yehuda, and all three documents are together, what's the most plausible story? That Reuven paid them back. That's why they're all together, because they came from the possession from Reuven. So Yachtzul Leiva. Shleish Alavim and Echad, but if there's documents saying that Reuven borrowed from Shimon, Levi borrowed from Shimon, Yehuda borrowed from Shimon, then Yachtzul Malva, return it to the Malva to Shimon, because it makes the most sense it came from him. And the final case in the Mishnah, Matzah Shtar Bein Shtareisav, if someone finds a document amongst his own documents, any day doesn't know. Ma Tivai, what is the nature of this? Shtar Yemunach Hachav Eliyahu. He has to leave it until Eliyahu comes. He doesn't give it either to the Malva or to the Leiv. Again, if you want him within my own documents, I find the document from Reuven to Shimon, etc. And Yeshimayin Sampainais, if there is amongst them receipts, then Yasem Mashev is Sampainais, you do that which it says in the receipt. So says the Gemara, let's begin with the first part of the Mishnah. The third case of the Mishnah, we had Yigaresh Shom, Yigaresh Mazain, Shtar Chalitza, Miunin, Shtar Birurin, V'chol Ma'isa Bezdin. So says the Gemara, what is Shtar Birurin? Excuse me, the fourth case, again, Yigaresh Shom, Yigaresh Mazain, Shtar Chalitza, Miunim, Shtar Birurin. So the fifth case of the Mishnah, what is Shtar Birurin? My Shtar Birurin, Nachtegumai, Shtar Tainisa. It's a shtar stating the document, the arguments of what goes on in Bezdin. It records different cases in Bezdin. Rav Yirmiyah Amar, says Rav Yirmiyah, Rav Yirmiyah, who's in Eretz Yisrael, Rashi explains, Zeh boyer lo echad, v'zeh boyer lo echad. Each one chooses a judge, each one chooses a dayan. This is recorded in a document. So that's what a shtar birurin is, a shtar that clarifies all the different particulars in a court case. Continues the Gemara, 4 lines, the bottom of Chumais the Bezdin Areze Yachzir. Says the Gemara, a story, Gita that was the get the Shachal Beidina the Ravun that was found in the Bezdin of Rav Huna. If this sounds familiar, it should. We had it 2 days ago in Daf Yomi. That's written in this document that it was written in this town of, in the Shaviri, in the town of Rachis Nahara. Amar Rav Huna, came along Rav Huna, as we turn over to Chaf Amid Base. Says Rav Huna, Chayshinan. Even though it's written clearly where this comes from, says Rav Huna, you know we're concerned. Chayshinan Lishnei Shaviri. We have to be concerned that there's 2 places with the same name. Chayshinan Lishnei Shaviri, 2 places with this name called Shaviri. Says the Gemara, Amar le Rav Chisda le Rabba. Rav Chisda says to Rabba, Poik, go out and ayin and look into this. L'orta ba'i la Rav Huna minach. Rav Huna's going to ask you in the evening what the story is. Nafak, he went out, he checked Vashch, and he found it. Tanan, found our Mishnah. And this is, we brought this there, utilizing our Mishnah as a kasha. And now, in the Makkah, in our Mishnah, says the Gemara, what does our Mishnah say? Call Maisa Bezdin Areze Yachzir. All Maisa Bezdin, you're able to return. So Amr le Rabba, Hechi Pashin Mar, Isura, Maybe Maina. How can you bring a raya? Our Mishnah is talking about Mamain. The get is talking about Isser. So how can you bring a raya from Isser, from Maman, I should say, excuse me, to Isser? Amar le, Rabbi responds, Tarda, you're crazy. Shtare chalitza miyunin tanan. What did the Mishnah say? Shtar chalitza and miyun, meaning also Isser. Paka arza devei Rav, the column in the yeshiva of Rav broke. Mar Amar Misham Litai Didi Paka. Rambam said it was due to me because Rabba insulted me. That's why it broke. Umar Amar, and Rabba said Misham Litai Didi Paka, because Rabba Amram criticized that which I said and embarrassed me. It broke, and that's where the Gemara ends. That indeed there is a raya from the Mishnah, because the Mishnah is discussing Isura as well. We continue 10 lines down to the 2 dots. We quote the next case in the Mishnah, which was that it was found Motza b'chafitza oy b'deluskama. Says the Gemara, my chafitza. What is this chafitza? Amar Rabbi Rachana, chamas ketana, small flax. My deluska. Amar Rabbi Shmuel, talika desabi. It's the box that elderly people use to keep their items, so they know where they are, etc. 2 different containers. And the next case is Tachur Shal Shtarais, Aiguda Shal Shtarais, a bundle or a roll of Shtarais. Tanu Rabbanan, says the Gemara. Kamu Tachur Shal Shtarais, Shleisha Kuchan Zuazu. 3 documents that are rolled one into another. Kami Aiguda Shal Shtarais. And what is the bundle of documents? Shleisha Kshurin Zeb is that tied to each other. Shmas Mina, says the Gemara, you see from here, Kesher Simin, tying something is a Simin. Says the Gemara, but 1 second, Atani Rav Chia, Shleisha Kuchen Zebazeh, but Rav Chia taught us that 3 are rolled one into another, and therefore, it's not because of the knot. Says the Gemara, Yachi, I knew Tachrich, and it's the same thing as roll, so what's the difference? Tachrich, says the Gemara, Kol Chad V'Chad, Bereisha de Chavre. When they're rolled, each one is on top of the other. Aguda deramu ahadadi. What's an aguda? They're one on top of another. Ukruchas, and they're rolled. Basically, 2 different ways of putting different documents together. My machris, says the Gemara, what do you announce in such a scenario? Minyan. You announce the number of documents that one found. Myria tlasa filu treinami. So I 3 even 2. Elikdam Ravina, Tiva Machriz, Achanami, Shtare Machriz. It says the Gemara, you're right. It's rather like Ravina says, you announced that you found coins. You don't say the number. So too over here, you announce that you found documents, and the one who lost it, he's going to supply the number as the potential simin, showing that it was his. Continues the Gemara of Shimon Gamliel Aimer, quoting the next part of the Mishnah, 10 lines before the white lines, the two dots, says Rashbag. We go, which is more mistaver, which is more logical. Explains the Gemara, if you can tell me he goes to the Malva, my boy Gabi Adalti, why did he have them all together? Maybe why? Maybe he's bringing them to be certified and they were lost. So therefore, maybe it's not actually should be returned to the loiva. Says the Gemara, Dimikaimi. Excuse me. Dilma lekiyuma asli. Says Gemara, Dimikaimi. The shtaros had kiyum on it. Dilma made the safra nafal. Says Gemara, maybe it fell from the sefer. How do you know it fell from the loiva? Says the Gemara, answers Lomachin shikiyuma biyad the sefer. You don't leave it in the hands of the sefer. So if you have these three documents and they're documents that are mikuyam and they're together, it makes the most sense. Says the Gemara that we're going to return it to the loiva. Shloisha. Continues the Gemara to explain, Shalava me'achad yachsil malveh. 3 people that borrow from one person. Then we said what? Meaning if there's one malveh listed, we return it to the malveh. And it now explains the Gemara, just like we said a moment ago. These are why are they all together? Same kasha. Maybe they were just writing them for the first time. There's 3 different handwritings. Maybe they're being mekuyam azli. Malva mekayim shtare loive loy mekayim shtare. He says the Gemara, the loive, why would he be mekayim the shtar? Only the malva, he's mekayim the shtar, so he could collect. And we continue on the second white line. If there are simpainis with them, you do that which the simpain says. So says the Gemara, what's going on here with these simpainis, with these receipts? Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, Amar Rav, simpain ayotzi b'tachzi dein malveh, a receipt that is under the hands of the malveh afal pi. It's only like a joke, and it is possible, and therefore you still would be able to collect. So receipt that the malva has and not the loive is meaningless. Explains the Gemara. Even if it's in the handwriting of a cipher. So maybe the cipher happened to have been there and he hadn't written it. Puzzle. Why? He wrote it thinking maybe he's going to come and pay me. So he thinks to himself, the malva, the lender, reasons if I don't give him the receipt, he's never going to pay me back. So he says, let me write down this receipt. So that when he brings me the money, I'll give him the receipt. Therefore, says the Gemara, the fact that there's a receipt in the hands of the malva is absolutely meaningless, and we're not going to return it based on that receipt. We're going to stop over here. As in Metziah Hashem, we're going to finish up the parak in the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.